This originally was going to be a completely different video. I was going to talk about all the Sega consoles and rank them, but now I'm only going to be talking about the Sega Dreamcast. After doing research about what the Dreamcast was, I realized how good the games were, the unique and innovative ideas, the console itself, and how underrated and underappreciated it is. If you did not know, the Sega Dreamcast was released in 1998 in Japan and was released in 1999 in North America. The Sega Dreamcast sold only around 9 million units, becoming Sega's worst-selling home console. It is also Sega's last console ever made. They used to go head-and-head against Nintendo in the 16-bit generation, but now started making games for the GameCube. The Sega Dreamcast could have been bigger than the Sega Genesis, but sadly it wasn't. In today's video, I'm just going to do a quick little review of the Sega Dreamcast. First, I'm going to talk about the Sega Dreamcast games. The first game on the Sega Dreamcast that I'll be talking about is Sonic Adventure, that was released in 1998 and was ported to the GameCube in 2003. The game was killed by critics because of cutscenes, wonky 3D gameplay, and much more. IGN gave it a 3.5 out of 10, which it really doesn't deserve. Yes, the cutscenes make you laugh, and yes, the 3D controls are terrible, but this is Sonic's first 3D game and you gotta give him credit. I mean, it was still 1998. Super Mario 64 was only 2 years old, and this is Sega's first 3D Sonic game, and they did pretty good. It is also the best-selling Sega Dreamcast game, selling 2.5 million copies in total. You can complain about it all you want, but this is still one of the best 3D Sonic games ever made, in my opinion. Now let's talk about Sonic Adventure 2, and yes, this game did get a sequel. Sonic Adventure 2 is kind of the same game as Sonic Adventure, but has a lot more content. Sonic Adventure 2 did not sell as well as Sonic Adventure 1 at all. It sold around 500,000 copies. But the Dreamcast sales made it sell so low, which is honestly sad to see. Same with Sonic Adventure 1. I'm not going to spoil the story or anything if people are actually still playing this game, which people are still playing the Dreamcast, which I'll talk about later in a little bit. And I don't even know the story because I didn't even research it anyways. But this is just a super underappreciated game, but at least this did get ported to the GameCube as well. The GameCube port, Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, sold around 1 million copies, which is good, and I'm glad to see. I do actually know someone with Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. You know who you are, comment down below. Anyways, the game would be really fun, but sadly it didn't work. But let's move on to Crazy Taxi. Crazy Taxi has got to be my favorite Sega Dreamcast game, and probably one of my favorite arcade games ever. It's so much fun! There's multiple different game modes in Crazy Taxi, but my favorite one has got to be the original one, where you go around picking people up and trying not to run people over and bringing them to their destination. Also, you have to drive really close to cars but not bump into them, so the people in your taxi will throw money at you, and that's how you get ranked at the end of the game. If you don't want to spend the time and money to get a Sega Dreamcast and you just want to play Crazy Taxi, go to your local arcade. I guarantee they have Crazy Taxi, because the Sega Dreamcast version of Crazy Taxi at your local arcade is the exact same version. Crazy Taxi is the third best-selling Sega Dreamcast game, selling 1 million copies. For the last Sega Dreamcast game that I'm going to talk about Jet Grind Radio. Apparently Jet Grind Radio is called Jet Set Radio in other places, but I'm just going to call it Jet Grind Radio because apparently Google says it's the way we call it in America, so I'm just gonna call it Jet Grind Radio. Jet Grind Radio looks very interesting and definitely looks like a different game and could definitely be an arcade game, just like Crazy Taxi. In Jet Grind Radio, you go around with a group spray painting things. It's that simple, it's super nice, and it looks very fun. Besides Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 and a couple other games, a lot of the Sega Dreamcast games are just arcade styled, and I really like it because I don't think any other consoles have ever done that. The Sega Dreamcast is basically an arcade machine at home, which everyone likes. Wouldn't you like to have an arcade machine at your house? Yes, of course. It's better than paying about $2,000 on eBay, right? Now I'm going to talk about the unique and innovative ideas. Back in the day, your Dreamcast could connect to the internet and browse Google, but also play online games like Phantasy Star Online. In 2003, Sega shut down the online service, but of course hackers found a way around that and you can still do online. The online worked very weird. There was a built-in modem for you to connect to the internet. One of my favorite all-time parts about the Sega Dreamcast is the VMU. VMU stands for Virtual Memory Unit and allows you to play simple little short mini games while you're playing your main game on your Dreamcast. You aren't playing anything crazy, you're just playing Pac-Man, Breakout, or even Tetris. Sega really didn't have to do this, and that's why no one has ever done it since, but it's really nice and charming. Now let's look at the console itself. The Sega Dreamcast controller looks very nice and very comfortable to hold. The Sega Dreamcast controller has an X, Y, B, A button, no select button, but we do have a start button of course, apparently a mushy D-pad, control stick, and 2 analog triggers on the back. Now I'm going to talk about the Sega Dreamcast console. Besides the logo in the middle, the console is all white and it looks very nice. There's a button to turn the console on the top, but also a button to open the console and put your game in. And there's also 4 controller ports. I know I did talk about games for about half of the video, and then everything else just went by really quickly, but there's not really much to talk about the Dreamcast. It's just a nice, simple, underrated console. I would love a Sega Dreamcast, but the prices on eBay are around $150 to $200, I believe, so maybe another time. Do you have a Sega Dreamcast? Do you recommend me buying a Sega Dreamcast? Please comment down below. I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.